Listen closely. The voice you hear in your own skull, the one you call you, is a liar. You did not choose it. It was installed. You move through the world believing you are an agent of free will, the captain of your own ship. This is a comforting and utterly debilitating delusion. It is the single most effective lie ever engineered. Because if you believe you are already free, you will never fight for freedom. Your mind, the very seat of your consciousness, is an occupied territory. From the moment you were born, you were subjected to a relentless psychological campaign. Your parents, with good intentions but inherited programming. Your schools designed to create compliant workers, not sovereign thinkers. The media, a constant intravenous drip of curated outrage and manufactured desire. The very culture you inhabit, these are your architects. They built your prison, and they decorated the walls with things you would love. They gave you comforting routines. They gave you socially acceptable goals. They taught you a limited safe vocabulary for your own ambition. And most ingeniously, they programmed the bars of your cage to be invisible. They are forged from ideas, not iron. They are made of guilt, of fear, of the desperate, clawing need for validation from the very people who benefit from your containment. You think you are kind? No, you are harmless. You think you are humble? No, you are afraid to take up space. You think you are moral? No, you have simply memorized the rulebook of your own subjugation. Today, we shatter that illusion. We are not here to talk about self-improvement. We are here to orchestrate an escape. A prison break from the most secure facility ever designed, your own mind. To do that, you must first learn the blueprints of your own chains. To reverse engineer a system, you must first understand its core components. The slave operating system, installed in you, runs on 3 primary modules. Let us dissect them one by one, with the cold precision of a surgeon. Module 1, the fallacy of niceness. You have been taught that being nice is a virtue, a moral good. This is a foundational error. Niceness, in the way society has defined it for you, is not a strategy for success. It is a strategy for subservience. It is a preemptive surrender, a signal to predators that you are not a threat, that you are a resource to be consumed. Machiavelli understood this with chilling clarity. He stated, "It is much safer to be feared than loved." Love is fickle. It is dependent on the whims of others. It requires you to constantly give, to please, to perform. Fear, however, is a currency you control. It is based on respect for your power, your competence, and your absolute refusal to be exploited. Your programming tells you to avoid conflict, to be agreeable, to find consensus. But the men who shaped the world, the Alexanders, the Caesars, the modern titans of industry and power, do not operate on consensus. They create consensus through the sheer force of their will. Your niceness is your refusal to assert your own reality upon the world. You are accepting a role in someone else's play. A great manipulator once stated that the world is not what it is what you make it. By being nice, you are letting others make the world, and you are simply agreeing to live in it. Analyze your life. How many times have you said yes, when every fiber of your being screamed no? How many times have you smiled and nodded at an idea you found contemptible, simply to maintain a fragile peace? Each of these instances was a small death, a surrender of territory in the war for your own mind. This is not kindness. This is a profound lack of self-respect. True strength is not the absence of aggression. It is the careful and deliberate application of it. It is the lion who chooses to lay in the sun, not the sheep who has no other choice. Module 2, the weaponization of guilt. Guilt is the ultimate control mechanism. It is a ghost in your machine, a self-policing algorithm that keeps you shackled far more effectively than any external force ever could. You feel guilty for prioritizing your own mission over the trivial demands of others. You feel guilty for wanting more and more power, more wealth, more freedom. You feel guilty for drawing a hard boundary and telling someone no. My time, my energy, my resources are mine. Who benefits from this guilt? Cui bono. Every time you choose to sacrifice your own objectives for the sake of another's comfort, you are reinforcing their frame of reality over your own. The system wants you to feel guilty. A guilt-ridden man is a predictable man, a manageable man. He will work the extra hour for no pay, out of a sense of duty. He will apologize for wrongs he did not commit, to appease the emotional state of another. He will self-sabotage his own ascent because deep in his programming is a line of code that says, "You do not deserve this. It is selfish." Look at the great conquerors. Did Alexander feel guilty for carving out the largest empire the world had ever seen? No. To him, it was a physical manifestation of his own nature. His ambition was as natural as breathing. Did Machiavelli's ideal prince wring his hands in guilt over a necessary cruelty that secured his state and protected his people from chaos? Absolutely not. He understood that the morality of the ruler and the morality of the ruled are two different things. Results are the only moral arbiter that history truly recognizes. The guilt you feel is a foreign installation. It is a virus designed to cripple you before you even step onto the battlefield. Your first act of defiance is to recognize it for what it is, a weapon being used against you. When you feel its icy grip, do not recoil. Analyze it, question its origin, and then deliberately, methodically, do the very thing it is trying to prevent. That is how you begin to build an immunity. Module 3, the addiction to approval. This is perhaps the most insidious module of all. The desire to be liked, the craving for external validation. This turns you into a puppet and hands the strings to every random person you meet. Your ancestors craved approval because social exile meant death. It is a primal fear. But the architects of your mind have hijacked this survival instinct and amplified it into a chronic, debilitating disease. Social media is the grand amplifier, a digital coliseum where you perform for the fickle validation of the mob. You post a picture, you share a thought, and then you wait, a slave to the notifications. You moderate your speech, you dull your edges. You present a curated, harmless version of yourself, a character designed for maximum likes. And in doing so, you murder your true self. The powerful man, the sovereign individual, generates his own validation. He is his own judge. As the Stoic Emperor Marcus Aurelius wrote to himself, the tranquility that comes when you stop caring what they say, or think, or do, only what you do. The approval of the herd is a cage painted gold. It feels warm and comfortable, but it limits your movement entirely. To break free is to be willing to be disliked, to be misunderstood, to be condemned by those who are still running the slave code. When you present an idea at work and it is met with silence, the addict craves approval and immediately backpedals, softens his stance. The sovereign man holds the silence. He lets the weight of his conviction fill the room. He understands that great ideas are rarely met with applause. They are met with confusion, then resistance, then finally imitation. You must starve this addiction. Consciously make decisions that you know will not be popular but are strategically sound. Act without announcing, succeed without needing applause. Your results are your validation. Your progress is your applause. All else is noise from the gallery. Understanding the programming is diagnosis. Now we begin the surgery. We will install a new operating system. We will call it the Sovereign Protocol. It has 5 phases. Execute them without emotion, without hesitation. This is a systems upgrade. Phase 1. The reconnaissance, the sovereign's audit. For the next 14 days, you become a spy in your own mind. You will carry a journal, digital or physical, and you will become a meticulous intelligence gatherer. Log everything. Emotional infiltrations. When did you feel a surge of guilt, anxiety, or fear? Note the precise trigger. What was the context? Who were you with? Behavioral surrenders. When did you apologize unnecessarily? When did you say yes when you meant no? When did you remain silent with a valuable opinion? Cognitive curses. Document your automatic negative thoughts. I can't do that. What will they think of me? I'm not good enough. Log these intrusive lines of code. Do not judge. Do not try to fix anything yet. This is purely data collection. A general must have a perfect map of the terrain before he commits his forces. You are mapping your own prison. Phase 2. The decryption pattern analysis. After 14 days, you will have a dossier on your own warden. Now you analyze the data. You will look for patterns. Is your anxiety always triggered by a specific person? Does your impulse to apologize always happen in professional settings? Do your cognitive curses appear when you are about to attempt something new and challenging? For each pattern you identify, you ask the prime directive, cui bono, who benefits? When you hesitate to speak up in a meeting, your less competent but more vocal rival benefits. When you feel guilty for taking a weekend to work on your own project, a society that wants you rested only to be a better consumer on Monday benefits. Trace the benefit, follow the trail of power. You will discover that your personal failings are, in fact, systematic designs that benefit forces outside of yourself. This act of decryption is crucial. It depersonalizes the weakness. It is not you who is weak. It is the program that is weak, and programs can be deleted. Phase 3. The rootkit removal, the Stoic scalpel. Now we begin to cut. We use the tool of the Stoics, the separation of event from judgment. When you feel a programmed response fire up, a surge of guilt, for example, you enact a mental pause. You catch it before it takes root. You do not fight the feeling. That gives it energy. Instead, you observe it with cold detachment. You say to yourself, there is the guilt program. It has been triggered by X. Interesting. You treat it like a lab specimen. By observing it instead of embodying it, you strip it of its power. You are no longer the emotion. You are the consciousness watching the emotion. Marcus Aurelius called this the inner citadel, an unshakable fortress within your mind, from which you can observe the chaos of the world and the chaos of your own inherited feelings without being moved. You starve the rootkit by denying it your belief. You see the "you are not worthy" program flare up, and you calmly and internally respond. That is a line of foreign code. I do not grant it execution privileges. And then you take the action it was designed to prevent. This is the surgical removal of your own chains. Phase 4. The OS installation, the Alexandrian forge. Emptying the vessel is not enough. You must forge something new and powerful to fill the void. This is the Alexandrian method. When Alexander the Great faced the Gordian knot, he did not play the game by its old rules. He created a new rule with the edge of his sword. You do the same with your life. You don't just stop being nice. You actively practice strategic ruthlessness. You don't just stop feeling guilty. You practice unapologetic ambition. This requires action. Forging new code is done through repetition. Install discipline. Wake up at the same time every single day. The body learns before the mind does. This is the foundational command of your new OS. Install action over deliberation. Identify your most important task for the day and do it first, before the old programming has time to boot up and whisper its hesitations. Install controlled discomfort. End your shower with 30 seconds of cold water. Take the stairs. Do the thing you are procrastinating on for just 5 minutes. These are small acts of cutting the Gordian knot of comfort seeking. You are teaching your nervous system that you, the sovereign, are in command, not your fleeting feelings. You are not seeking motivation. Motivation is a fickle emotion, a component of the old system. You are forging discipline. Discipline is a system. It functions whether you feel like it or not. Phase 5. The firewall cognitive fortification. A new system is most vulnerable just after installation. The old world will constantly try to reinfect you. People will notice the change. They will call you cold, arrogant, different. This is the old system trying to pull you back through social pressure. You must build a firewall. Information control. Stop consuming passive, useless information. Unfollow the noise. Curate your inputs with the same care a king would guard his water supply. Read the great ones, Aurelius, Machiavelli, Sun Tzu. Let their code overwrite the junk code of modern media. Association control. You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. If your circle is composed of comfortable, compliant individuals, they will act as a constant virus scan, trying to fix your new operating system. Seek out the lions, the eagles, the men who operate on the same frequency. If you cannot find them, embrace isolation. Loneliness in the service of a mission is not a curse. It is a tactical advantage. A powerful man stated, "Escape the matrix, you'll be alone. It is the price of sovereignty." Mission focus. Your ultimate firewall is your purpose, your mission. A man who is utterly possessed by a grand objective has no time for the petty dramas and validation games of others. His mind is a fortress, and the mission is the guardian at the gate. Any thought, any person, any request that does not serve the mission is denied entry. We have spent this time deconstructing your prison and laying out the schematics for a palace. But these words are just echoes in a void without your action. The knowledge is worthless without application. An army's strategy is just a drawing on a map until the first soldier takes the first step. Your war does not begin with a shout. It begins with a silent, internal vow. The architects of your mind are banking on your complacency. They know you will listen to this, feel a fleeting moment of inspiration, and then you will close this window and go back to being a passive consumer of your own life. You will check your email. You will scroll through your feed. You will obey the next notification, and the slave OS will have one again. Or you can choose differently, right now. Your first act of rebellion is not grand. It is small. It is precise. Pick up your pen. Open your file. Your first objective in this silent war is laid out before you. Begin the audit. That is your Gordian knot, the endless web of reasons why you'll start tomorrow. The comfortable voice that says, "This is too much work." Cut it right now. Log your very first observation, even if it's just this. At this moment, I am tempted by comfort and procrastination. I observe this temptation. I will act anyway. That single entry is the first brick of your inner citadel. It is the first line of code you have written yourself. You are no longer just the user of a system given to you. You are becoming its programmer. Welcome to the war.